Before I go to the next lecture, you saw this morning we gave 5 different awards at the hands of the governor. They were instituted by the generous support of industry. But there are a few more awards which have been created, and because we had no time in inviting the nomination, etc., that will be done later during the year in August. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these awards, what we are going to do in August. In August 2nd to 4th in Delhi, we'll have the program which will be inaugurated by one of the VIPs. So the one award, so I would like to just mention these awards for the benefit of the students here. One is Dr. Ellen Mathur Award for women scientists below the age of 50 years. And Dr. Ellen Mathur was a chemistry teacher in an affiliated college in Ajmer, and his son, Nikhil Mathur, when he met me in Dhanbad, and I had appealed to people that they should come forward to give, some new awards. And this is just to encourage lady scientists. The woman scientists should be less than 50 years of age and must have created new knowledge in chemistry, including publications in high impact factor journals and patents and technology transfer, if any. And so this is the award which is, and Mr. Nikhil Vatur is a, senior manager in Indian Oil Corporation, who were our supporters there. So this is one award. The second award is very interesting. This was created 2 days ago. So I'll tell you that. This is Color Publications, Sri R.V. Raghavan, Indian Chemical Society's Centennial Jubilee Award for creativity by PhD students in colleges. You see, a lot of these fellows in universities and IITs and NITs and all those fellows get awards. But what about poor fellows in colleges? And our idea is to encourage research in colleges. And I've been telling that colleges should come forward to become members of the society. They should join as members, and we'll open up chapters, student chapters in various colleges. So what is this award, I'll tell you. R.V. Raghavan was my friend, and I used to write for his journal. Several years ago, I used to write a column called E-Column. And so he's no more, but his grandson, who met me recently, and I convinced him why he should give this award. So this is award for research students who are working for PhD in chemical sciences in colleges which are affiliated with UGC recognized universities. Students working in the departments of universities or centrally funded institutes or state universities or state funded deemed to be universities will not be eligible. They are not eligible because we want research to be done in colleges. So, and the purpose is to encourage research in colleges, and which could be autonomous, okay, but affiliated colleges. Those who are in the second or third year of the PhD program after admission, okay, not registered, after admission, because sometimes the universities take much longer time for registration. So this will be where the student must have at least one international publication in peer-reviewed journals of reputed societies, including Indian Chemical Society in our journal. I'm the editor-in-chief of the journal. Okay, so like American Chemical Society, RSC, or any other journal, or publishers like Elsevier and Springer and Taylor and Francis, not predatory journals, okay? In the previous calendar year, because sometimes you don't know which, whether it last this year, last calendar year, that will be eligible. The publication should not be a peer review paper. So we will not give reward to review paper. It has to be original contributions. And but actually it is a research done by the student who is the first author. If there are more the number of authors, lesser is the chance of getting the award, because we don't know who is the real contributor. Okay, that is another thing. The publication and the student should be the first author. Not more than one student will be selected from a particular college affiliated to that university, so that all universities or colleges in the country get this chance. If enough number of entries are not reserved, other affiliated colleges from the same university could be considered. And of these are 11 awards. Each award is of 10,000 rupees each. At least 5 will be female students. We'll encourage females, so 5 will be for girl students. And 4 awards will be reserved for the publication in Journal of Indian Chemical Society. And very interestingly, 1 award, so these are 10 awards. 1 award, the 11th award, so this is 1,10,000 every year. The 11th award will be given to a student who would be interested in science and spirituality apart from chemistry. So that is another. So this is to encourage spirituality. We are here in, this great institute, so that this is one. But the other is, because it is a centenary celebration, so we should have 100 awards, right? So why not? So the Chemical Weekly is another journal. Ravi Raghavan is a student of ICT and my personal friend. So he will give 100 awards, 1,000 rupees each every year. And we will give these awards in various conferences which we organize. So some awards will be on 2nd August, some will be in convention, some may be like this. So this will be every year it will be done, okay? And the idea is that these awards, we would like the students to subscribe to the Journal of Indian Chemical Society. After that subscription, whatever remaining money will be given to that person. Next is, this is the award in my own name and my wife's name. She was here. So this will be 2 awards. I have already given 5 lakh rupees to the society for the most versatile student in chemistry. 1 girl and 1 boy, okay? They can be from any university or IIT or whatever. And last but not the least, this award will be buttressed by, was given by, C.R. Sinha, Young Scientist Award in Inorganic Chemistry section in the name of Professor Animesh Chakravarti, Young Scientist Award in Inorganic Chemistry. He has given 50,000, but which will get more. So this is 5th award. And 6th is, Professor R.K. Verma has given money to us, endowment in his father's name, which will be a lecture award. Okay, so these are the 6 awards, apart from the 5 in the morning, which I want to announce. And 7th award, this award, because we are worshipping Acharya P.C. Ray, but there is no money in that endowment. I'm sorry to say this. So we have created 1 award, which will be at least 50,000 rupees, and that will be given by Meg Money Organics Limited. I'm on the board of this company, so they have given 15 lakh rupees as a startup, for this. This money is already received. And some more, the 2 more PC Ray awards, they will also come. So we have this, so you can imagine now we have, plus 2 more industries, they have written to me, but the money has not come. So unless the money comes, I'm not going to announce it. Okay, so these are some of these awards which I wanted to announce in the morning, but the Honorable Governor, his ADC said I should wind up the program immediately. But ladies and gentlemen, towards the end, I'm going to announce many more things. But meanwhile, let us call our friend Dr. J.S. Yadav, no relative of mine. Dr. J.S. Yadav, please come to the stage. He is the former director of Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad, and he's a great chemist. I don't know, maybe he has more than 1,000 papers to his name and guided more than 150 PhDs from various universities and IITs and whatnot. But this award is created in the name of Dr. A.V. Ramarao. Dr. A.V. Ramarao is a great friend of mine and also very great philanthropist, great scientist, Padma Vibhushan, and he started his company after he retired as a director of IICT Hyderabad. So he is giving this award every year for 1 lakh rupee each, his foundation. And since he is a great medicinal man, medicinal chemistry, he started his company, Aura, which is sponsoring this. You can see that there at the back. So Aura has given this money. Dr. A.V. Ramarao could not come here personally because of his illness, but he appreciated that we are giving this first award to none other than my great friend, Dr. J.S. Yadav, who is not only the scientist of great repute, having so many patents, technologies in drug development, API and whatnot, and he is a consultant to, this our Ahmedabad, Cadila Pharmaceuticals, which have started a university called Indrashil University. He is a provost of that university. So Dr. J.S. Yadav would like to, hear you now. Okay? Thank you.
I go there?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Keeping
So
here?
that
No,
will
first
give
you
after you finish.
First, I like to thank Dr. G.D. Yadav, and I hope it is not given because I am your friend. Anyway, at the end of the lecture, you realize that it is not given for the friendship. And also, I like to thank Indian Chemical Society. Actually, this time, this is the second one. First, you gave Lifetime Achievement Award, and now this A.B. Ramarao's lecture. Dr. A.B. Ramarao, and we were very, and before I think, almost Indian Chemical Society people have almost forgotten. It's one of the oldest and the foremost society, but almost people have forgotten. Even the journal, many people don't know that they are publishing. But I am glad that Dr. G.D. Yadav has taken the responsibility as a president, again as president, and I think you should continue as a president forever. That's my wish. And it has come to very much limelight. And, I still remember that I am also founder member of Chemical Research Society of India, and that was decided in Bangalore. And when Dr. Sena Rao said that we will start this society, I said already one society is there, why not we push that one? He said, no, they are not listening, something like that he said. So he started. Now Chemical Research Society has become almost a brand now. So GD, you and all member of the Indian Chemical Society, I can also, whatever my services you need, we can help. We like to bring it up quite high. And I'm sure, with your effort, definitely it will pick up. And now I like to, Dr. I am very much happy that this award is associated with Dr. A.B. Ramarao, whom I know for last 50 years now. Because I joined in NCL 1972, he was there, so we know each other since then. Then I went to US, he was with Corey's group, I was with Bank. Again, we got connected there. And Dr. Duraswamy, he went for scouting in 1980, that he needs some scientist. And then he met me in USA. Actually, he met my boss that I want to hire some people. That's how I met Dr. Duraswamy. And he said, we went breakfast together. And then he said, many people have spoken good. I like to hire you. at NCL Pune. And actually, when he came to NCL Pune, but come back, and he sent a offer letter ad hoc without application. This is unusual. So that's how I came, because Dr. A.B. Ramarao was then head. He also said, no, I know this boy, we will hire. Right? So that's how I came to NCL. And since then, I am associated with Dr. A.B. Ramarao in 72, then later on in 81. So it is a long association of almost 5 decades with Tectra. And he called me yesterday, he said, I'm very happy that first award is being given to you. So, कैसे change करेंगे वहाँ? It will not change from there. Okay. So I like to speak something about Dr. A.B. Ramarao. He was born on 2nd April 1935 Guntur. Then he did BSc, UDCT. So he is also UDCT alumni. Also PhD from NCL Pune, postdoctoral at E.G. Corey Nobel laureate at Harvard, then joined NCL, then all this goes on. So he was, he retired in 95, and then he started entrepreneurship like Evra Laboratory. And again, I was associated with Evra Laboratory ever since he involved. And two product also we used to work together, and that is making good amount of money today, okay? That is our canthothecin and also the carboplast. Both put 100 crore every year, okay? So they are. So again, he got the World Academy of Science, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, all kind of awards. P.C. Ray awards also got P.C. Ray medal. And then he started Evra Lab in 95. And now Evra Labs makes over 400 crore turnover today. And he sold 40% for $200 million, which will, $100 million, which becomes 150 crore almost. And 60% share is still with Ramarao. And he sold it because he was finding it difficult to run alone. So they will run, but this is the way profit will be distributed. So they are continuing. And he has sold, that's what I said, $100 million, and continuing to provide employment for more than 600 families. I am very glad that that award, associated with Ramarao, has been given to me. Anyway, many people have said many things. And, I just, couple of them I will read, not all. S.K. Joshi said, today the drug industry has a firm base of indigenous production, has made a mark in export market, and much credit directly or indirectly goes to Dr. A.B. Ramarao. So all drug industry in India. Then Fraser Reed, he says, along with his boundless energy, dynamism, optimism, that have combined to propel ICT into a top-ranking research institution, a veritable model for developing nation to emulate. Many people have said like that. And John Marder, he was the editor of Nature. He said, the most improved laboratory in India must be the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology at Hyderabad. The difference is not so much the change of name, but the arrival as a director, A.B. Ramarao, vigorous, no-nonsense organic chemist of distinction. No-nonsense chemist of distinction. So that's what many people have said. Very nice about him. And of course, on many occasions we are together. So that's why I wanted to tell you. So I don't know, something is felicitating me. I don't remember for what reason. And then our family is there, Mrs. Ramarao, my wife, and Ramarao, we are there together. And so we have been together for several years. So when he called me, I said, I'm still a practicing scientist, okay? Still I have around 10 students working for PhD with me. So I thought, I will speak science only, okay? I will not give sermon like any other, because that is, I have not come to that stage yet, even though I'm 73 years old. Anyway, so we'll go for natural product. There are many synthesis, design, and all those things. But only bonus is if you get some new strategy, a new reagent, or new something which can help you to make many natural products. So that's what I like to say. I don't know how much time I left with. I don't remember when I started, but that's how I will go. Let's see. So I've done basic research. So mainly desymmetrization, Prince reaction, all kind of things we have developed to make the natural product. And of course, we have applied pharmaceutical and agrochemicals also. So I will go very brief. I will not discuss much chemistry, otherwise it will be boring for you for most part. But let us see what it is. When we say desymmetralization, so that was the main. Like you make a symmetry molecule and you make one side optically active and then open it, then you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many? 3 asymmetric center together. One reaction, 5 asymmetric center you develop. That's what exactly we did. You see, this is a molecule, meso you can call asymmetrical. These are this anyway. Then we do hydroboration, chiral, you get one side, oxidize, open, all kind of things you do. Then what you do is you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 asymmetric center in one go. I don't know any other reaction where you can get 5 asymmetric center in one go. And then we made couple of natural product, not just for, like you can see, you can see, make mirror image also. Depends upon what binding derivative you take, okay? And you also get in this kind of thing. So you use, as per your planning of natural product, you can take any one of them. So I will, made many syntheses. So I will not go in detail, but let us see. You see in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, so many asymmetric centers are there. So I will see 1 or 2 example, I will give not much. You can make, that's I showed you can get it like this, opening. And then we extended it and you get chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 asymmetric center in one go. And if you take 6 asymmetric center power 2, you can imagine how many molecules you can get. But we get only 1 with this plan, okay? And we made the natural product, this one. Took X-ray to confirm the structure, everything was all right, and that's all made. Why? One thing I'll tell you, this is a discodermalite, okay? This molecule. We don't do research or anything just for heck of doing it. This is the molecule, a German company was interested, and they gave to 2 people. One was given to Stephen Lay at Cambridge University, other part was given to me at IICT, Hyderabad. So we made both part. And then company combined it, and they made few kilogram, this discodermalite, anti-cancer compound, for clinical trial. And ultimately, it is a very successful molecule, but it's not economical by synthesis, not economical by even isolation. Because of economy reason, it was dropped. Similarly, many molecules were made like this, but most of them are very biologically active. So I will not go, not describe, but you can see the number of molecules we synthesize using these methods, okay? Number of one. Most of the molecules were synthesized and published. Second is, we were, many natural product has pyran ring. So this is the way we developed pyran ring making. You take allylical cohort, treat, you get 3 asymmetric center at a time. You start with 1, you get 3 asymmetric center, 1, 2, 3, like this. And so they are very high selective, and all you get in kind of arrangement I made. I have, because of passage of time, not go discussion, but that is the kind of things you get. Plenty of structure you can make by using that methodology of pyran ring. Plenty of them you can make. And the main reason, main thing is take one asymmetric center and then make it three asymmetric center in one go. And many molecules were synthesized by this. This was the molecule which is anti-obesity, and Bicon was interested. Actually, they sponsor us not through synthesis but purification of the fermentation product. So that was also done at ISCT for Bicon. And same pyran is easy. When you go to tetrahydrofuran, control of histochemistry is very, very difficult. Very difficult to people who work in carbohydrate or other area, they know that how you can get it. But still, we could manage exactly the kind of things you need. You know, like we develop this reaction and you do this. And you know, these centers, all these centers, this 1,4, all depends upon what is you start here, the substituent, okay? Like you have here, so you get this one syn arrangement, this you get anti-arrangement, this again you get anti-arrangement. And why we did was, actually, was interested to make this natural product. A lot of work was being done on this amphenolide B and amphenolide T1 because they found it very active, and so that's how we developed that method. So I don't want to go chemistry, but take it, believe that this is the way it was done. And ultimately, when we ended up with the synthesis, we took biological activity of that. This is the natural product, and these are all open product. The natural product, that is the one, compound one, has this kind of IC value. 2, synthetic one has a very good value. This one, not good. 28, this again open one is good, this activity. 27 is this one, which again very good activity. So many times we do synthesis only because can we make better analogs. Of course, these are the molecules. You can only go for this, but commercialization is difficult because making of these compounds are not that easy. So still, they are waiting for commercialization. If you say same tetrahydropyran, I discussed with you. But one thing was there, in many natural products are common. Okay, one of the things you saw through Prince reaction, but I'll say there is some other methods also. Like when you take this molecule, take triethylsilane, open with this, you get that kind of thing. Okay, so if you see here the arrangement, okay, here this arrangement. So that kind of arrangement you do. So it's basically what you saw in earlier example, these two are syn, okay, this level. In this you see NT. So when you want syn or you want NT, that is a choice method you can have, okay. So again, you can see that examples. And this is a kind of mechanism. I have not much time to describe you the mechanism, but only you can get, this is the way you get a transform, NT1. And of course, we use iodine as a catalyst. And one example, I'll tell you the synthesis of the natural product, this one. See, it has both. If you see this ring is syn, if you see this ring, NT. So it's the ideal way of using both method and get to that molecule, okay? So what we did was, we made this through the Prince cyclization intermolecular, and this we need to do with that iodine catalyzed reaction. I'll show you. So let us, we made this, treated all this molecule. You get this trans, okay, here. Then you elaborate aldehyde, all this go double bond allylic, and hook up this molecule here. You got set of this double bond, allyl alcohol, and then only aldehyde we need to make, which we made aldehyde this, and then close. You see here, so this is a trans, okay. This is the trans arrangement, and this you can see in energy. So exactly in same molecule, you can control what you want to make. A total control stereochemistry everywhere. So these are methods which means for making natural product quite faster and in a very controlled way. Same, you see this kind of, I just told you, here there are some molecules of this nature. Again, what we did was, you make allyl alcohol like this, make a aldehyde, and you do the cyclization. So what happens, it gives you same Prince product, but since you have this unit, intramolecular attacks the lactone, and you get this kind of system in one go. And that's what we did. So it makes it very easy to make such kind of molecule, like this one you see here. Aldehyde, this hook up, you get that. Only two component you make, and you can make the natural product. Shortest synthesis actually, you can get this kind of center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 asymmetric center in less than 6 steps, I think. So you can make it. The other things was, in some cases where you have fully substituted molecule, that difficulty was also faced by Professor E.J. Corey at Harvard and also late Y. Kissy at Harvard. They faced all kind of method they devise to get to that. But one thing we found out, that if you take oxytane ring with the double hydroxy, you can get to that open. It doesn't go here, it opens only there. So you get the 6-member ring. And only thing, what you built around this, and you get 6-member ring with all substituted in that. I'll demonstrate to you. And it works, see here. Okay. So open, you got all seen here. If you need no seat, here you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, all centers are intact. Here if you see fully substituted. Because there are some molecules where the fully substituted, any other method does not work. They have to come in a too much different way, but this works exactly. And you notice that what stereochemistry you take here, that will generate here. So in this case, you can make end or syn. So it is your choice. What you want to make, you can make it. And you know, in organic synthesis practicing, people know how difficult it is control the stereochemistry. Okay. Same way, so we took one natural product demonstrated, this particular one. It's many people work on that. Celnomycin is antibiotics, INO4 activity. So we divided it into two, this portion and this portion. Okay. So let me take the western part. If you go retro, ultimately with this it will come this molecule, then it will go like this, and you do this segment and ultimately end up with this and then there. Okay. That's what exactly we did. It comes from our desymmetrization this ring, and then cyclobutane we make. And then you take to camphor sulfonic acid, it opens the ring you get. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 asymmetric center in no problem. Then we go right there, only do the transformation and ultimately end up with this. Okay. Then we have this molecule we made. You can make a very simple way, but I did not describe how to make it because of paucity of time. So you made this, and then you do control aldol reaction, okay, with here. So you get this molecule. Now, how many asymmetric centers are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 asymmetric center are synthesized in one go. I don't know what is this music. people got bored with chemistry, so now they want to listen music. Okay. Then we had, again one problem that we were working on synthesis of fatty acids, okay. And ये क्या हो रहा है? Okay, friend. So again, we wanted to make many natural products with fatty acid structure. So one of the ways that you can do the this propine and alkylation. And again, ये कहाँ से आ रही है आवाज ये? हाँ? उन्होंने चालू किया, पता नहीं. Anyway, this particular one also reaction titanosin opening to go to allyl alcohol in one step, and this was also kind of serendipity. And now this is many places they call this as a Yadav reaction in the literature. Okay, you will find this kind of new reaction. Anyway, so with this we can make many acetylenic compounds. You can start. You can make a kind of opening to many acetylenic compound you can make it. I'll give you one example, and this was used for the synthesis of many natural products. I don't know which problem हो रहा क्या? Not responding. Next one, please. Next. Got stuck, looks like. Okay. Only I want to say that, using that kind of methodology, several molecules we synthesize, okay? All these synthesized. Only one example I will describe, which we wanted to make for biological activity. Can you change to next one, please? I think this is not working. What is that? It is not working, looks like. Okay, thank you. Okay, we wanted to make this molecule. One thing I like to tell you here, whatever molecule you make must give for biological activity. We made this one quite early, in 2003, this molecule. Sorry, we made 2003, all right. And same year, Daniszewski also made in 2003, and he gave this molecule for biological screening. Then he found this was more active than the natural product. See, it is just protected. So many time we ignore the molecule, don't go for biological activity. My advice will be all intermediate, when you are working on medicinal chemistry, give for biological evaluation, okay? So we want to say that we made it. I think Tanmay was talking about this chemistry only, okay? So we open this, you get 1, 2, 3 symmetric center, and then do another bond, and then you get all these molecules, okay? So what happens, we made several NLR and went for biological screening against deoxyribonucleic as an anti-cancer agent. And then you find that many of them were not that active, but some are active of this. So actually it was dropped. We're not lucky to get better than the already existing drug. And then we went to apply it. Morning he was talking about if you recall, he was talking about a lot of pesticide use and a lot of residual problem, crop problem and everything. So that we had realized quite early that one day there will be a need. So we started working on pheromone research. Pheromone means we take Indian insect and isolate the pheromones from the insect, synthesize it, and then go for biological. What is pheromone? Normally, pheromones are released by female to attract male for mating and population growth. If you make same male pheromone and put in the field, male will think it is coming from female and he'll go there get trapped. That way you can control. One good thing is we don't kill another predator and also you kill one to get insect by this route. And all predators are there. So many Indian insect we work like Indian yellow stem borer of rice, sugarcane borer, brinjal, teak planted sun, so many. We work and also put for the field trial, and these are all done in field experiment. And brinjal shoot, these are all done using this kind of. And sugarcane, I like to say here, in sugarcane, it was done more than 500 hectare at Coimbatore by Rajasi Sugar and established, and now they themselves make and use this. One thing they found that sugar cane, which comes to the pheromone application, contains more sugar than what they use conventional pesticide. So since they get more sugar, they get more profit. So they have made and given free to farmers. They themselves go and put the trap in the farmers, sugarcane farmers, and that's how they started getting money. And we don't know still the reason why they get more sugar content when they use pheromone as a control method for the sugar. So no pesticide is used in Coimbatore. It is only the pheromone technology used. Similarly, is the case of rice pest. This goes in the stem, and you cannot use pesticide. But you can, by this technology, you can use, and it has been already demonstrated on 800 hectare farm in Andhra Pradesh by Directorate of Rice Research. It's already done. And this kind of trap we used. You can see the farmers themselves has participated, and we made a method by which farmer, we give them, they make lure, we give them a chemical, they make lure, and they do in the field trial themselves, in the field they put. And again, groundnut leaf miner was made it more difficult because they go and ripen the leaf. No insecticide can be sprayed. So again, that was done on 1,300 hectare of groundnut crop for mass trapping, and it was successful. Now most of the Anandpur district and Gujarat, they are using pheromone trap for control of groundnut miner. And actually, in Junagadh, we went, our family. So we know one family there, so we went there. All this, in his farm we went, so he did not know. He said, some Hyderabad company has made, and we are using it, and it's very successful. Then my wife said, then only he made it, So they were very happy, and we were very happy to see in the field in Junagadh, because they are the biggest producer of groundnut in Gujarat. So we made that's why it's rural pheromone making center. So directly they can. One was made in Kurnool, made in Gujarat, also made in Kerala. So it's practically everywhere it is used. In the field trial which was done, they were like in Kharif, pink Walmart was done in Telangana, Army of Telangana, yellow stem bearer, Andhra Pradesh, pink ballworm, again Telangana, pink Walmart, also Telangana. And now ISCT actually makes the pheromone almost worth 4 crore. Every year 4 crore worth of pheromone of course, they make profit, and that they give to local people where they make lures and put in the field. Okay, and most of this money is supported by Telangana government or Andhra Pradesh government, and some NGOs also they support. And I will skip enzymatic transformation, but only thing I like to say is we were using carrot for reduction of ketone, okay? And this paper, it was done by Nanda, who is in IIT, Kharagpur now, professor. So it was done, and we sent this paper to ChemCom in England. The referee says that, this carrot may be for Indian carrots, it may work in India, but may not work so in UK. So it's not a general thing. So he rejected. Same comment, everything same I sent to JOC. Same comment. And what they did, the referee of this paper, he did actually this reaction in his kitchen with carrot and took it. And he found the reaction is working. So now, this particular reaction is one of the best example for green chemistry demonstration. Now, in US, in most of the undergraduate courses, this has been introduced as a practical experiment as a green chemistry. But where you are doing the reduction with vegetable and getting no pollution, nothing. And now in UK, they said may not work. In UK, Cambridge University, when Ian Fleming came, he said it has been introduced in UK undergraduate course, practical course, and throughout the UK, the same method is used, demonstrated. This is the example of green chemistry. So both places, UK as well as USA, these are used as an example of best green chemistry experiment. Okay, so that I will go quickly because I want to say something about the pharmaceutical things we develop. There are, we develop heparin for Bharat Biotech, then anti-obesity for Biocon. This was anti-cancer compound for, I think, the other chemicals. Like that, all this, misoprostol is important, was done for Dr. A.B. Ramara. Actually, originally it was discovered as anti-ulcer, and then the lady which was pregnant got abortion. So now it has become more for used for abortion. So what Dr. Ramara was using, RU486. Well, they were making and giving, selling, and there are a lot of problem for the lady because they were not cleaning the complete uterus. So they used to have a problem later on. Some of the problem was even to the extent that they were not getting any child anymore. So to clean a lot of medical complication because this kind of things, many girls, they buy and use off the counter and problem. But they should not be used only RU486. When you use this combination with this, it's completely cleans the uterus. So there is no problem. So that's why we convinced actually Dr. Ramara was not ready to take. He was making RU486. I said, then government banned RU486, So then he said, okay, running, he earlier was only something like 200 gram solution of making. Now he makes 1,000. It's still not sufficient. It's so much demand. And he has a monopoly. So from this one particular one, when we consider Dr. Amara started making, it's just this particular product, 60 crore gives every year, net profit, by the way. So that he has used Dr. Ravi Ramara. So I'm glad that that award is associated with Dr. Ravi Ramara. So now when we call it, by the way, Cipla advertise, I pill. It is a combination of this plus RU486. Might have seen in TV advertisement, okay? So that is the molecule. And then, of course, again, this is camptothecin. From this, they make irinotecan. And earlier, they were isolating camptothecin and then making irinotecan. So what was happening is, this is very toxic. And then it contains in the camphothesia that in the hardwood. So you have to cut the plane after 60 years of almost age and a lot of allergy. And ultimately, you don't get very pure because a lot of methoxy groups are in this. So again, when Dr. Ramara was in ICT, we were working on. So today Dr. Ramara, Ernoketekin, makes through synthesis, which has a substituent here and here. He makes through synthesis, and this again product, one product has got a monopoly, and he sells something like $60,000 per kilo. This product, $60,000 per kilo. It's not exactly this; it has a derivative in it, and again, major profit comes from this product for Dr. Ramara, Evera Lab. So like that, many of these products we work. Now I want to come to this level, okay? This is again, while working in, the 2017-18 actually started, working with Indrasil University, which is a Cadila Pharma's university. So we also still take sponsorship work from Cadila, and we make this molecule. So we ended up 9 patent. This has been transferred to them. This has been also transferred, and this has been also transferred. Others are in the transfer process. With this all combined, Cadila makes every year, every month, something like 100 crore every month. So 1,200 crores comes only these 4 projects, which has been transferred to Cadila Pharma. So actually, though I retired as a provost, vice chancellor, but now we work for Cadila as I was working for work in the university, but their project we work in university, and also guide their R&D. Every month we go for 2 days there. So that's how it is there. And one more thing, many people say publication, kya hota, then again you talk about, they say industrial work is very simple. Let me tell you, industrial work is not simple. For you can make any molecule and publish with 80%, 90% purity, but when you have to go to industrial work, 99.9% pure you need. 0.010% जो आता है उसको you have to define what it is. That kind of purity you need, that kind of technology you need, that kind of method you need, that you get only one of those products, not many. Anyway, so in the process when you work, because I'm working with the industry from the beginning of my career, okay? Since 80 onward, 81 onward, I working with the industry, agrochemical or drug, both. And when you are having with the industry, you can far better basic work, because you understand the problem. We don't know the reagent, no, you develop in the lab. That's how we are able to develop so many lab methods and got industry. Actually, I didn't give many examples, but most of these methods, what we develop, has an industrial application. Some of them are used in USA, broad laboratory they call it, which is in MIT campus, they use. And Colgate Palmolive, SmithKline Beecham, where I used to be still, but I used to be consultant, so they work. This only wanted to tell you some of my students, long time back, 2015, this data may change, but change for more number, not less number. So when you talk synthesis, that leads, you can see here. Here, natural product synthesis. Then you comes to reagent development, not bad. Then you come to synthesis, come to reaction also. We are in a good company. This is the world record, live record, but 7 years old. I have not got the latest one. And one which I like to, is very close to my heart. Rice bran was being thrown of rice plant. Means when you take rice, cell, then rice. Just adjacent to there is a rice bran, which is were rich in original, tocopherol, and also so many things. So it was being thrown. So what we did was we stabilized with the steam, and then we isolated the rice bran oil from the rice bran. Today, the production of rice bran is based on our technology totally, is close to how much? I think 7,000 ton or something is there. 10 lakhs ton, okay, is today produced. And 10,000 crore turnover is there in India, which was otherwise we stop import of this much money in India, and this is totally made by these companies. And almost it was transferred to many companies. And this, sorry. Okay, so this got Technology Development Award in 2010. You can see I went to receive, and my colleague went to receive this. This is the first industrial green chemistry award in India, actually. They got Green Technology Award in India first, this process. We got direct application. The SCR technology it got. It had been transferred to 27 industry and all covered by patent. And today what you eat, rice bran oil, is all produced through this method. Okay? Now the old method of phosphoric acid and gone. So I thought it's Vivekanand thing, so let me put one Vivekanand's quote. I like this always. Wisdom lies not in the amount of knowledge acquired, but in the degree of its application. So how much is application, that is important. Okay. I don't know, I will not complete my lecture unless I tell that I did PhD with Dr. Sukhdev, he was my mentor. Then Govardhan Mehta, A.B. Ramarao, I had been. Since then, we are together friends for several years. Govardhan Mehta also almost 50 years now. We know each other. And C.N.R. Rao, even though he's not organic chemist, but I can tell you, I can say openly also. But Bhatnagar Award, he was the chairman, okay? And he said, actually there were all kind of names was coming. And C.N.R. Rao said, no, you people don't know the contribution of this boy. This is the word he used. He has made in India confident that chiral or symmetric synthesis and also this kind of complicated molecule can be synthesized in India. He brought confidence in the organic chemists. So, in half an hour they decided, actually he decided, nobody could oppose, that I got Bhatnagar Award at the age of 40, young age. And then Professor M.M. Sharma, I know him since almost 1981. He came with the family NCL. And since then we are in touch with each other. And M.M. Sharma has been also my guru. And I have the blessing of all these people. And Marshalkar also I know since last 81 onward when I joined NCL. Since then in many committees we shared together. And when he became DG, CSIR, and even though I was not director of many of the support, when I used to tell Professor Marshalkar, he used to give. The finance was not a problem in ISC, even though I was not a director, but still he supported. And once I became director, there is no stop. So all these people matter in my career. Okay, there are many people, but these are the people whom I cannot ignore. My career, all these 6 pillars. And then there are, there are students from IICT, a lot of work done. And these are the students where they have now all, except these, all these people have got PhD degree from that in the City University, and they are the one who work on those industrial problem plus PhD together. They have done it. So I'm thankful to them. And their work I cover in the last slide, which are covered by 9 US patent. And these are the company supported. So CSIR, science technology in Netherlands for pheromone. Actually, they gave 10 crore in 92. That is.
So they don't give. You know what happens? You know, if there is any lacunae in the organization, you can blame me because I'm the leader. But if there is any success, give all the success to these gentlemen because they have worked behind the scenes. So I would like to honor them. To bring this, yes. Bring. You are going to give. Yes.
Already given.
Mukherjee is given.
Yeah.
আশুতোষ ঘোষ আরে এই পর্দাটা একটু সরিয়ে রাখুন
Bring all of them here. Bring all of them our
সঞ্জয় শর্মা ডক্টর সঞ্জয় শর্মা ডক্টর সঞ্জয় শর্মা
Dr. Sanjay sir. Here is. Now you will work very hard. It's my pleasure. Next.
ডক্টর অশোক কুমার ঝা
Yeah.
হ্যাঁ অশোক
He has come all the way from
নেই সুদীপ দাস
Professor Sudip Das.
অনিন্দ দত্ত
অনিন্দ দত্ত স্যার হ্যাঁ
So, we'll start with the next lecture. Where is Tapas Babu? Please come. Dr. Tapas Chakravarti, Director of Indian, former director or what? No more director? Former director of Indian Association of Cultivation of Science. He is going to talk on Mahendra Lal Sarkar. That's right? Yes, that's the story. So, ladies and gentlemen, he is a very energetic person. I hope he will do something for Indian Chemical Society at the end of the day. Okay.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, what I decided to talk today is a little bit about the history of science. And this would have been relevant for the students, but I see that the students have disappeared. Seniors are present, but they know everything. So possibly that what I prepared, it might not serve much purpose, but still let me finish my job. Because today this meeting has been arranged, it is basically Centennial celebrations of the establishing this Indian Chemical Society. So, and remembering also this professor, this Acharya Prafulla Chandra Rai. Prafulla Chandra Rai, that he was born in 1861, and today we are also celebrating Rabindra Jayanti. Rabindranath Tagore also born in 1861. And I decided to talk about a person, can you put? Can I open now? Can you help opening this? This is good. So in the bit celebration mood, I decided to talk about, about Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar. In the morning, the Honorable Governor stressed that the future of India is the science and technology. Now I am talking about Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar, who more than 100 years ago told the same thing. But the nation very faintly remembers Dr. Sarkar. Mostly he has been forgotten. And only in the premises of this Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, on the foundation day, we only remember him. So being a faculty member of that institution, I thought that maybe in this celebration mood, that where we are just remembering many of these historical facts, I can talk about this Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar a bit. So this is not going to be a technical talk about my research, but remembering something. Now, Dr. Mahendra Lal Sarkar, he is basically regarded as this first apostle of this modern scientific research in the country. I am going to read out that what I just prepared as a talk, I'm going to read out only. And endowed with this broad spectrum of this erudition and deep intellectual insight, Mahendra Lal played a stellar role in the 19th century Indian Renaissance. His many-sided interest in literature, religion, philosophy, history have been hardly evaluated. And most importantly, this enigmatic issue was his personality. And the history says that He has a very much affectionate relationship with this Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Nilratan Sarkar, Haraprasad Shastri, and Thakur Ramakrishna Paramahansadev. So with this brief background, just let me talk about this Mohendralal Sarkar. Mohendralal Sarkar was born on 2nd of November in the year 1833. And that was the period of this religious revivalism in this region of the country, and of course, very much scientific skepticism. Now, he was born in a year, the same year Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who is considered as this herald of this modern science in country. Ram Mohan Roy is basically known to us that as a social reformer, but history also says that he is basically herald of this Indian science education in this country. Because in a historic letter, in 11th of December 1823, he wrote that time, this William Amherst, who was this Governor General of this colonial India, this opposing the idea of establishing Sanskrit College. Because Sanskrit College was established in 1824, and Raja Ram Mohan Roy opposed that idea. He said that we do not need a Sanskrit college, but basically what we need is a basically liberal and enlightened system of instructions embracing mathematics, natural philosophy, chemistry, astronomy, and other useful sciences in the curriculum. But I'm talking about a period that in our this college and school curriculum, the science was not a part at all. And Ram Mohan Roy was the first person that he said that for this material development of this country, what is needed is basically introduce this modern science and philosophy at the high school level. But we also know that this British government did not consider that proposal, but what was introduced is 1835 is basically this Macaulay Minutes. Now at that time, the science practice in the country, it was going on only in the 4 institutions. This one of them was this Asiatic Society, which was established in 1784, Botanical Garden, Horticultural Society in 1820, and Calcutta Medical College in 1835. Dr. Mohendralal Sarkar took admission in Presidency College, Kolkata, with the hope that he would be able to study some science there. But in that period, that is about what I'm talking about, is 1860 and 50, even in the Presidency College, which was the government college, and that was the only place in the country to study some science other than St. Xavier's College, he found that in the curriculum, the content of the science, particularly in the experimental science, was extremely poor. So he left the program and joined Calcutta Medical College to study the medicine. Because Calcutta Medical College at that time was the only place that where the science education through experimentation was offered in the country. Now, Mohendralal Sarkar is the second MD of the country from Calcutta Medical College. He graduated in 1863, and in that year, this British Medical Association, the Bengal branch of British Medical Education Medical Association was established in Calcutta, and he became an active member and also the vice president of this British Medical Association. Now, in the same period, this alternative method of medicine, that is homeopathy, that was introduced in the country. Now, there was very much conflict between this traditional medicine. When I talk about this traditional medicine, it means allopathy, that was taught in the medical college, and this new system of medicine, homeopathy. Very much conflict. That conflict is still present, but this homeopathy is much more accepted in the society. So Mohendralal Sarkar, being an MD of Calcutta Medical College, he was one of the greatest denouncers of homeopathic system of treatment. Now, what happened that there were a number of reputed homeopathy practitioners at that time in the city, and one of them was this Rajendralal Datta, and he was a friend of Mohendralal Sarkar. Now, what he realized that in association with this Rajendra Datta, that for these many diseases, where this established system of medicine, that this allopathy cannot treat terminal patient, miraculously this homeopathy gave the result. But how that can happen? Because the way the homeopathy used to practice, and even these days, it is very difficult to get a scientific answer that how the system works. With the sustenance association with this Rajendra Datta, he came to a kind of realization that basically this is not any kind of this hoax. There must be some science. So what happened that in 1867, that was the fourth meeting of this British Medical Association in Calcutta, he read out a paper, his research paper, and the title of the research paper was on the supposed uncertainty in the medical science and on the relationship between the disease and these remedial agents. In this research paper, he talked about his experience about this homeopathy. So naturally, the audience did not like that, and he was thrown out of this British Medical Association. But he was a person of extremely determined person, and although that he, because of this throwing out of this medical practice, he had to go through this difficult time, financial hardship. But what he did, that he started a monthly journal, and that was the first journal in medical science in the country, that is called this Calcutta Journal of Medicine. So through his own journal, he started to express his views about this homeopathy. So his conversion from this allopathy to homeopathy, that is treated as this landmark even in this medical research in this country. Now, what he realized that time, that it is not the problem, the homeopathy is not the problem. The problem is the mindset. So what he said that what was at stake in India at that time is not the homeopathy, but this rational and unbiased thinking and judicious cultivation of science. So basically, that although this medical practice was going on, but the people was averse of thinking critically, that what is there in the science. So what he did that, through his journal, he started that in the year 1969, that he wrote an article. This article, the title was, on the desirability of a national institution for the cultivation of physical sciences by these natives of India. Because as I just mentioned, that there are the 4 institutions where this science research was going on, but the Indians were totally barred for doing any research in those institutions, in the pretext that these Indians are not competent enough. So what was needed, that the desirability for a national institution, that where these Indians, particularly these native Indians, can participate and do research. Now, I would like to mention here again that in the Presidency College, that is the time about 1870, that the research was going on under this government support, and we all know that about Prafulla Chandra Roy, and particularly this Alexander Pedler, the kind of this chemistry research was going on in Presidency College. But since the college was completely under control of this British government, hardly there was any autonomy. So what he was starting to say that an institution that will be solely governed by these natives of India, and the science, natural science, can be practiced according to these wills of these Indians. So he refused to accept any kind of support, financial support from this British government, and this institution that he wanted to establish is through this generous support of these common people, so that only these Indians, particularly these interested people, can join there and practice this, do this research. Now that was a time that another gentleman, that I have just posted the picture here, this Leogany Father Lafaux, that he wanted and started to popularize science in India through demonstrations and these popular lectures. So Father Lafo, in that way, that he was the first person in the country that he wanted to popularize the science. And Mohendralal also had the same idea. So these two persons joined hand and they started to popularize the science, particularly in this region of this country. So, acknowledging their effort, this one gentleman, that is Keshav Chandra Sen, he is very much known as as far as this history of this Brahmo Samaj is concerned. He wrote in the newspaper, this name of this newspaper is this Indian Mirror, the following article. This time has come when someone ought to take the missionary's role and go through the country interesting the people by means of popular science lectures and exposition of the kind given by Father Lafo. There can be no doubt that Father Lafo and Dr. Sarkar are the persons to whom the popular vote would turn in the matter of choice of the leaders. It is them, therefore, that all the hopes in these directions are directed. Sorry. So Indian Association was formally started on July 29th in 1876. And the building was 210 Bowbazar Street, presently the Goenka College's premises. And the building, it was an old building. The building was donated by the government, the British government. And Mohendralal Sarkar's effort, that time it was acknowledged by this Father Lafo with the following words. Dr. Sarkar, seeing that the superiority of the Western nations was mainly due to their knowledge in science, wanted to diffuse that knowledge among his countrymen, in the hope that, after mastering of what had already been discovered by these Europeans, the Hindus, and particularly this word Hindus, might, in the course of time, add their own discoveries to those of their fellow brethren in the West. Now, the word Hindu has been used because that time only this community was participating in what is called this modern education. So that is the reason that Father Lafo, being a Jesuit teacher, just he used that word. By 1880, the laboratory of the association was equipped with a large assortment of this equipment, modern equipment. So the time about 1880, the laboratory of this Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science was one of the most sophisticated laboratory of the world. No doubt about that. And Mohendralal Sarkar, being a medical doctor, he used to teach physics in Indian Association. And not only that, he used to demonstrate experiments which were just developed in Europe within just a few years ago. One example I'm giving, that we all know that electron was discovered by Sir J.J. Thomson in the year 1899. He was given Nobel Prize for that. And his discovery, based on a tube, vacuum tube, that is called this Crookes tube, and we just all studied this experiment in our high school level. So basically the tube is basically this kind of vacuum tube. It has two electrodes, and just if you apply this high voltage, so what you can see that this flow of these electrons that pass through this vacuum tube, and the residual gas, when these energized electrons interact, it generates the fluorescence. Now, around that time, that is starting from this 1850 to about this 1900, for this 50 years time, this gas discharge, that was one of the most popular research in the physics community. and that gave rise to many fantastic discoveries. So the discovery of the electron and this Crookes tube experiment that eventually gave rise to this discovery of the electron. So Mohendralal Sarkar demonstrated that experiment in 1880 at the Cultivation of Science Laboratory. So he built that apparatus. And when he demonstrated that experiment, so one of the members who was present in the audience is the Viceroy of India. Now, not only that he demonstrated this experiment, he gave his own idea that why it is happening. Now, K.S. Krishnan later made a very interesting remark. He said that the experiment that Mohendralal Sarkar did in Cultivation of Science Laboratory is nearly 2 decades ago of what this J.J. Thomson did at Cambridge. And Mohendralal Sarkar was very close to the discovery of the electron. Now, definitely that he was not a professional physicist, he was basically a medical doctor. And not only that, he played a very important role also in the society. So instead of his busy professional, he was a member of this Legislative Assembly of the Bengal for the period of 1877 to 93. He was the Sheriff of Calcutta in 1877, Honorary Magistrate of Calcutta, 1877, and he was offered this Companion of this Indian Empire by this British government. So not only an important, a busy medical practitioner, but also that he played a very important role in the public life. Mohendralal Sarkar, I would like to just mention here that another particular aspect that we all know that Prafulla Chandra Roy, he wrote 2 important books other than chemistry. That is the history of this Hindu chemistry. So Prafulla Chandra Roy, this great affection for and this love for this history of science. And Mohendralal Sarkar, basically he was the mentor in this direction. And in the first volume of the history of this Hindu chemistry, Prafulla Chandra Roy dedicated and offered that he was indebted to Dr. Mohendralal Sarkar in this particular direction. Mohendralal died on February 23, 1904, and his son, Amritalal Sarkar, took over the charge of this association. Now, we all know that during lifetime of Mohendralal Sarkar, he could not get to see the success of this Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. And this major reason for that the fund was not enough to appoint any permanent professor or faculty member in the association. But since Presidency College and also the St. Xavier's College, that was under the support of this government, so both Prafulla Chandra Roy and Jagadish Chandra Bose had to take the position at the Presidency College. Before joining at the Presidency College, Jagadish Chandra Bose joined Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, and for this 2 years' time that he taught at Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science from 1885 to 1887. But he realized that without a permanent professor, the main goal of this association to conduct this original research cannot be achieved. In every annual meeting, he appealed to the countrymen for the donation for the fund, but he was immensely disheartened, and because the response was poor. Occasionally, he openly expressed his bitter disappointment and frustration for the general apathy of the rich community for this refusal to fund the professorship position at this Cultivation of Science. So today, Professor Jadhav made many interesting announcements. This today, we are just living in a different society. Industrialists are coming forward, giving money for this advancement of this knowledge and the science. But certainly, what I'm talking about the story is 150 years ago, the mindset was different. But these are the people who contributed for this change, this mindset. So what he did that, this is a very important thing that Mohandas Sarkar died in 1904. So on his deathbed, basically, what he said is the following. I have only now to reiterate my conviction that if our country is to advance at all and take the rank and share her responsibilities with the civilized nation in the world, it can only be done by means of science, the positive knowledge of the God's work. He could not establish the branches of this Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science in the other part of the city, and the region was very poor. I would finish mentioning what Chandrasekhar Venkatraman, who is till now the only Nobel laureate that India has produced working at the Indian soil, he said the following: "To men, especially, I owe a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid." It was the late Dr. Mohandas Sarkar and Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. Dr. Sarkar devoted the lifetime of labor to the institution which he created. Its doors were open and awaiting for the arrival of someone who could utilize the resources is offered. That arrival happened to be myself. About Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, he said the following: Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee ventured to ask an young and unknown government official to throw aside the preferments of office and devote himself to the pursuit of knowledge. Without this action of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, my scientific career would long ago have suffered an abrupt termination. So I finish here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor. Yeah. A very nice historical perspective about Mahendralal Sarkar. We owe a debt to him. Ladies and gentlemen, now I invite Dr. Professor Anand of IIT Bombay, and he's going to talk about exciton dynamics in water-soluble quantum dots. He is a head of department in the chemistry department, is a well-known figure.
He will use his laptop.
Yeah, he has his own laptop, okay. So, but you know,
It's a privilege to be here. Hats off to those in the audience who have braved the long day and have been persistent enough to stay. I do have a bit of trepidation about how my nanoparticles are going to do sandwiched between these two mega personalities. But well, here goes. Before I begin, I'd like to start with respectful remembrance of Professor Ramchandra Banerjee, our sir, who would have been here today had we not lost him all of a sudden a few months ago. This photograph is actually from an Indian Chemical Society event from 2016. You also see Rahul there and myself. And Indian Chemical Society for a lot of us is synonymous with Professor Dulachandra Mukherjee. He had called me and then I immediately said, of course, welcome. It is a privilege to have had the opportunity to contribute to the fellowship published by Journal of Indian Chemical Society to honor sir. And it's also a privilege to have been able to contribute to the 100-year issue of Professor Sadhan Basu and the special issue.
That is the central dogma of the research that we do. We started with fluorescence techniques, and then around 2015 or so, we thankfully had the funds to set up this transient absorption spectrometer, where we don't look at the color of the light that comes out, but rather we look at how the color of something changes as a function of time in response to the intense pump pulse by which we create the excited state population. The idea there is the color of the excited state is not the same as the color of the ground state. So if you look at the spectrum, this is what you'd see. You'd get a negative signal where the ground state was absorbing, but the excited state doesn't. You'd get a region where the excited state absorbs, but the ground state doesn't. And then what you want to do is you want to see how these signals evolve as a function of time. And when I say time, I mean femtoseconds to nanoseconds. We want to get into microseconds. A lot of important phenomena happen there. Hopefully, next time we meet, we'll be able to show our microsecond results as well. Well, I will show microsecond results here, but from a different experiment. 2019 onwards, we were able to establish our confocal microscope, in which we can look at images as well as lifetimes. So the technique is called fluorescence lifetime imaging microscopy. But more than lifetime imaging microscopy, the experiment that we have been performing, and I'll talk about it today, is fluorescence correlation spectroscopy. So this is essentially the instrument. You have this microscope objective by which you focus the excitation light, pulse light in our case. You don't need pulse light to do FCS. But if you use pulse light, you can do something extra, as I'm going to talk about. And then the fluorescence is collected confocally. This here is the sample. The sample for FCS is essentially a drop of liquid, water in our cases, in which you have something that fluoresces. And when I say something that fluoresces, you have to work with very, very low concentrations, because we are going to talk about single particles here. So typically, you want to go down to something like nanomolar concentration. Lower it is, the better it is. Of course, which means that the fluorescence quantum yield or PL quantum yield would better be high. So if we look at the confocal volume where the light is focused, if we zoom into that portion, and if we think of one fluorescent molecule, it's a drop of liquid, right? And our fluorescent molecules are dissolved in it. So they're not going to remain stationary. They're going to run around like this colored dot is doing there. So when the molecule enters, or particle, enters the confocal volume where light has been focused, that is when we get a burst of light coming out of it, we get signal. When it diffuses out, then the signal goes down as well. So if you look at fluorescence intensity as a function of time, and now when I say time, I mean microseconds and milliseconds and seconds. Well, it can be smaller as well, but we do go up to long times. So if we look at the fluorescence intensity as a function of time, what do we see? This is what we see. The spikes are for the times in which the fluorescent object or photoluminescent object has diffused into the confocal volume. The troughs are the times when it has diffused out. What does it look like? It looks like noise, right? It looks like random noise, but it is not. It is actually correlated signal. But then looking at it, nobody can tell. This is actual data from our instrument. I have not just drawn, I have not scribbled something there. So the way we establish that it is not random noise, rather it is signal, is by constructing the autocorrelation function. What we write here is, well, delta f at time 0 means the fluctuation that we see at any time 0. What is time 0? Whatever time we decide it is. And then tau is variable. So let us say this is time 0. Let us say this is tau. We vary tau from a value of 0 to a long value. And for each of these values, we look at what is the what the fluctuation is. All right. And then you take a product of that. As you understand, at tau equal to 0, what will the product be? It will be very high, right? If we normalize by f square, you're going to get 1. As you go to longer and longer values of tau, the signal is going to fall off. And remember, all this happens, according to the discussion we have had so far, is because of diffusion. So if you increase tau, you construct a function like this, which is called the autocorrelation function, plot of g tau against tau. What do we expect to learn from this function? If you remember, in the discussion so far, the fluctuation has come because of diffusion and nothing else. So, and also the other thing to note is that the x-axis here is in logarithmic scales. We do that because using FCS, we actually want to look at fast processes as well as slow processes. And as we all know, logarithmic scale gives us access to many decades of time. So what we get from there is, we'll of course not go into the derivation of it. The derivation and all are available in this nice book on fluorescence correlation spectroscopy, written by my friend Thorsten Wohland and Sudipta Maiti. To cut a long story short, what you get from there is the diffusion time, and from diffusion time, you get the diffusion constant. Oops, that was a little bit of a spoiler. Diffusion constant that, well, I had studied as MSc student in Science College. I'm sure many of you have also studied. Now, diffusion is the beginning, not the end. The reason why we make a semi-log plot in the time axis is that anything, not just diffusion, anything that gives rise to a fluctuation can contribute to the time evolution of this function g tau. One of the things is the blinking of quantum dots, or single particles for that matter. Now, blinking is something that one studies in single particles. Conventionally, you want to take a very, very dilute solution of a single particle or single molecule, put it on a substrate, and make sure that no two molecules are together, because I'm using visible light. I do not have the resolution to actually see molecules. The only hope I have of getting signal from a single molecule is by ensuring that there are no two molecules that are within the same confocal volume. The problem with that is that you put the molecules on a substrate. The substrate has a role to play in the dynamics of the molecule. The advantage of looking at things like blinking using FCS is that we are freely diffusing molecules, freely diffusing particles. There is no substrate and there is no interference for the substrate that is not there. That is what we plan to do. All right, but before going there, our conventional strength has been in the area of fluorophores and more recently fluorogens, molecules that are not fluorescent in solution but become fluorescent if you ask them nicely. Using these molecules, we have looked at their excited state dynamics. We have tried to enhance the fluorescence of molecules that are not so fluorescent, and we have used them to study complex microenvironments. But let that be the story for another day. We got interested in this fascinating world of quantum dots because, well, everybody knows that nano is mega. And it has been like that for the last 30 years. We are very, very late entrants in the field. And by the time we got in, this kind of television, where quantum dots are used as phosphors, is no longer a part of science fiction. This is an actual photograph taken in Mumbai airport, I think last September or August. Also, if the quantum dots are water soluble, it has already been demonstrated that they can be used for biological applications like bioimaging. So what got us interested is that in all these applications, the most important thing that is there is exciton dynamics. We shine light, we create an electron in the conduction band, leaving behind a hole in the valence band. I suppose I all know that. So we create a correlated electron-hole pair that is called an exciton. Now, the electron and hole can recombine to give you light. They can recombine to not give you light, and they can do other things. They can get trapped. You can form more than one exciton per quantum dots. A lot of things can happen. And all these processes that take place are ultra fast. But they give rise to lifetimes that are ultra long, which make these useful in applications like phosphors and bioimaging. So our interest is to unravel the ultra fast processes by using transient absorption as well as FCS. And the particular problem that we got interested in was doping semiconductor nanocrystals with copper 1, not copper 2, copper 1. And there's a reason for that. As I said, when you excite, you create this correlated electron-hole pair. Now, if we dope the nanocrystal with copper 1, as we all know, copper 1 likes to become copper 2. So it would take up a hole. So copper 1 dopants are good hole capturing agents. So now, as long as the hole and the electron are not captured, as long as they are in the valence band and conduction band respectively, the wave functions of the hole as well as the electron are delocalized over the entire nanoparticle. So they can recombine easily. The moment we have a dopant which captures a hole or captures an electron for that matter, what happens is the wave function of the hole is localized into that one atom, whereas the wave function of the electron is still delocalized over the entire nanoparticle. So overlap decreases drastically, recombination is no longer easy, and that is why what happens is we get very long lifetimes. If we get photoluminescence out of recombination of the electron with a trapped hole, then that photoluminescence is associated with really, really long lifetime, as I'm going to see. The other important thing is this. Suppose we have an electron acceptor which we try and interact with our quantum dot nanocrystal. Then what happens? The electron that is there in the conduction band is donated easier than what it would have been if you wanted to take the electron out from the valence band. That is why one can have photoinduced electron transfer from quantum dots to an electron acceptor. Now, if we have a doped nanostructure, the hole has been captured, the electron has been set free, and so the electron can be donated in a more facile manner. That is why the photoinduced electron transfer in case of copper-doped nanocrystals is expected to be much more easier. So if you think of things like photocatalysis, in which PET is the first step, then the copper-doped nanostructures are expected to be better photocatalysts than undoped ones. So the first, as I said, we were very late entrants in the field, so we felt that whatever could have been done with regular nanocrystals were done already. So we started with the structure that Professor Pathak likes very much. We started with nanocrystals that are tetrahedral. All chemists like the tetrahedron, right? So we started working with cadmium selenide nanotetrapods, and we were successful in doping it with copper-1, and we found that if we do that, the lifetime goes up from 5 nanosecond to 500 nanosecond, 100 times increase in lifetime. And that is why the quantum yield goes up from like 1% to about 30% photoluminescence quantum yield. The problem is, end of the day, we want to work with nanocrystals that are water soluble because we want to get into the bio-nano interface. These nanotetrapods work beautifully as long as you use an organic solvent. If we disperse them in water, then they are completely non-luminescent, so which was a heartbreak. So we took a different route, and we were successful in preparing cadmium sulfide nanocrystals, undoped cadmium sulfide nanocrystals, and this preparation was done in water. And the quantum yield that we got was about 40%. Using transient absorption spectroscopy, we could work out the time constants associated with all the processes, the entire mechanism of exciton dynamics in these nanocrystals. We also found that the PL photoluminescence of these nanocrystals is selectively quenched by lead, which is great because you want to detect lead. But it was not by design. It was, it was by serendipity. The more important question is why lead and why nothing else? That's point number one. Point number two is what is the mechanism? Once again, to cut a long story short, using transient absorption, we could work out the mechanism. This is the mechanism, but we could also show that what happens is the lead actually comes and binds to the surface of the nanocrystal. It seems like stating the obvious. But the problem is this: whenever we have PL quenching, we are sort of bound by our traditional understanding of static and dynamic quenching, where we think static quenching means ground state interaction. Dynamic quenching means excited state interaction that has to be diffusion controlled. So our point is that in case of nanoparticles, it's not like that. Nanoparticles have a large surface area. So of course, whatever is the quencher is going to most likely go and sit on the surface, but it does not affect anything. The absorption spectrum doesn't change until the excitation is actually done. So the quenching process is dynamic in nature. It is just that it is not diffusion controlled. As you see, the rate constant of that we get here is 1.61 into 10 to the power 11 per second per molar. Much faster than the fastest possible diffusion controlled reaction, as we have studied in Leidra's book in MSc. So that was it. And then we were successful in doping cadmium sulfide nanocrystals with copper-1 as well. We could vary the doping levels. The color combination is horrible. Please forgive me for that. Perhaps the light is very strong. And then what we see is this. Undoped cadmium sulfide quantum dots, these are different cadmium sulfide, not the other one that I showed. The ligand is different. Capping agent is different. So the undoped cadmium sulfide quantum dots in water have a PL quantum yield of only 5%. The doped ones have PL quantum yield of 32%. When we look at the time resolved PL, we see that we have a very, very non-exponential decay. Taking help of literature, we fit this to a sum of 3 exponential functions, even though, as we know, that anything that is not a single exponential decay can in principle be fitted in many different ways. How you fit depends on what model you have in your mind. The model we have in mind was consistent with tri-exponential decay, so we used it. So when I say tri-exponential decay, I mean the non-doped cadmium sulfide quantum dots. The moment we dope it, we get an additional 530 nanosecond component coming in once again. So that is what happens when doping takes place. I will quickly go through the other two because I want to get to the next part. Now, when we try to do FCS, if you remember, I had said that to start with, FCS is all about diffusion. But now we have quantum dots. We have a dilute solution of quantum dots. We should be able to see blinking. Blinking causes fluctuations. So this expression for G of t does not just comprise of the diffusion component. It is multiplied by a component that is associated with blinking. Once again, very well-known equation. Many people, not many, some have used before us. So what we get from here is the average number of molecules that is there in the observation volume. We also get the stretching coefficient. If you see, the first one It's an exponential function, but raised to some exponent beta. So if beta is equal to 1, then it's an exponential function, conventionally what you expect. If beta is less than 1, then what it means is that you don't have a very homogeneous system. The value of beta tells us how heterogeneous the system is. The closer it is to 1, more heterogeneous it is, or fewer is the number of processes that are involved with blinking. T is the dark fraction, tau t is the blinking time. If tau t is large, that means this switchover between dim and bright states is faster, and so that affects PL quantum yield and everything else. All right. First thing we did was we tried to vary doping level and see what happens. Of course, the natural expectation is doping is good. Doping is what brings in bright photoluminescence. So if we increase the doping level, one expects that it will become more bright. But is there a limit? It turns out that there is a limit. Too good is no good, like in many other systems. As we increase doping level, first of all, the number of bright particles in the confocal volume increases, but up to a doping level of 0.3%. Beta increases. If this is the plot of beta. You see, beta was much smaller, it's like 0.5. It keeps going up more than 0.8, very close to 1. But then, if you go beyond 0.3% doping level, then it goes down once again. Similarly, we get the same kind of information from T. So why is it that too good is no good? Because if we try to increase the doping level, then it is impossible that we'll have, should not say impossible, some people claim to have done it, but it's very difficult to have a situation where we have one quantum dot with one dopant, if we keep on increasing the dopant concentration. Invariably, we are going to have quantum dots where we'll have one quantum dot with more than one dopant ions also. And the moment we have more than one dopant ions, they're confined in this 4 nanometer sphere. So they're going to talk to each other. It's copper 1, then you have copper 2, and this oxidation state switching takes place. And when that happens, hole trapping is not as good. Because for the time that it is copper 2, it's not going to take up a hole so efficiently. So one cannot really have, one cannot maximize things. We always have to look for an optimal level. All right. The other thing that happened is increasing excitation power, we see photoactivation. As you see, this G0 keeps going down as we increase the power from 2 watt to 2 microwatt to 29 microwatt. When the signal goes down, we might think that that is bad. In case of FCS, it is good. Because if you remember, G0 is inversely proportional to N, where N is the number of bright particles in the confocal volume. So G0 going down indicates that your samples are becoming more brightly photoluminescent. It's a little bit of tale of opposites. All right. So if we shine light, then looks like there is photoactivation. Why photoactivation? Nobody knows really. There are many mechanisms that are proposed involving formation of an oxide layer, but we do not really have any real proof to say that it is definitely happening that way. But interestingly, what happens is the particles become brighter, but this tau t also increases. The time for switching between bright and dim states, that increases as well. That is because at higher excitation power, you have multi-exciton effects coming. You produce more than one exciton in each nanoparticle. They also talk to each other. You have things like Auger processes, and that is a problem. So the increase in photoluminescence that we see is a net increase. Increasing power does not just help photoluminescence. It also hinders it. The question is, which factor wins? All right. Beta decreases. If you remember, beta increasing means more homogeneous situation. Beta decreasing is less homogeneous situation. So when we increase the power, what we are doing is we are sort of initiating lots of processes that are non-radiative, which were not there earlier. That is why many options come up and beta keeps deviating further and further away from the value of 1. Okay. And so putting all this together, we could construct a picture of the exciton dynamics in this copper doped cadmium sulfide. But the question is it a better photocatalyst? To do that, to understand that, we took help of transient absorption. Well, we did the plain vanilla experiment where we added a dye, and we saw that the dye was degraded faster if you use doped nanostructure. But then, using ultrafast dynamics, we have this negative going signal, which is called ground state bleach. It is established that for cadmium chalcogenides, the magnitude of the signal is governed completely by the population of electrons at the conduction band edge. So, dynamics of the negative signal gives us an idea of electron dynamics. This small little signal here is known to be for biexcitons. And the even smaller signal that I have chosen a color that nobody can see, signal here, that is because of holes. So, for cadmium chalcogenides, we have this luxury that looking at different parts of the transient absorption spectrum, we can talk about the dynamics of electrons and holes and biexcitons and tryons if they are there. We did that, and we also did something else. We added methyl viologen. When you do that, methyl viologen radical cation has an absorption here. So, that comes up as an additional signal. So, we monitored signals at 2 places. First, the ground state bleach. The recovery of bleach becomes faster if you increase the concentration of methyl viologen, the electron acceptor. And if you look at the methyl viologen signal, of course, it becomes slower because at 0 micromolar methyl viologen concentration, the only thing that is there is holes, but then methyl viologen itself is there. But if you look at the initial part, you see a rise in the signal. From there, we can calculate the rate constant of PET, and that turns out to be 5 into 10 to the power 10 per molar per second for the undoped nanocrystals, 18 into 10 to the power 10 per molar per second for the doped nanocrystals, which is a conclusive proof that the doped nanocrystals exhibit more efficient PET. Now, next I wanted to talk about our more recent experiments on copper indium sulfide, but obviously I am running out of time, so I'll skip all that. Because that's something different, we'll need more time. So, just to conclude, for both copper 1 doped cadmium sulfide and copper indium sulfide quantum dots, copper indium sulfide is better because you don't have cadmium there. Professor Samaresh Bhattacharya is here, he is going to convince you that it is better if you can work without cadmium. We could work out the exciton dynamics, and we could use FCS along with lifetimes. That is what I did, ran out of time, I could not say. The advantage of having pulsed the excitation is that you can look at lifetimes as well as FCS. So, you can talk about the autocorrelation functions of each component that is there. Using that, we have been able to say something interesting about copper indium sulfide. Let that be the story for the next day. This is the nano team in our group, people who have contributed to this work. And let me thank them as well as all students present and past, all postdocs present and past, collaborators, funding agencies, our department and our institute. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Indian Chemical Society.
As a council member, we have to
I'm done.
Yeah. It's done? Thank you. Thank you very much. We have already felicitated you.
Yes.
I don't have double thing with me.
Thank you very much. He has got something.
Yeah, this is what we have given.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh. He wants to have his pen drive. Your pen drive.
ভালো করেছে যতটা কাজে সরি
I know. Tanmay Patak. Sorry, Tanmay ji. ये जिस
Where will that go?
here it is. After his lecture, no, we are going to have Vande Mataram and then close, okay? So थोड़ा देर धरिए, हाँ, थोड़ा
10 मिनट 10 मिनट
10 मिनट, ठीक है? ये तो अभी 6 बजे इनको इतना फास्ट करते हैं मालूम नहीं।
हाँ बल
उनका होने के बाद
Hold on, hold on. দেখতে পাইনি এখনো।
ओके
যাবেন?
या
না, না, দেখতে পাচ্ছি না। এক মিনিট।
तो थोड़ा तो दम धरिए, गवर्नर ने रोका हुआ है, लेट आके,
ज़्यादा बात
কার
करिए
কম্পিউটার এটা?
चलिए बस असुविधा होगा एसी बंद कर देगा लाइट बंद कर देगा
পিসিটা কোথায়? আমি এটা দেখতে পাবো যে এটা কার পিসি? আমি পিসির ইয়েটাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
थोड़ा हम जल्दी करेंगे।
আচ্ছা ওই কলার মাইক।
This is the problem.
थक थक थक
Yeah, he's good.
আছে
না আমার
পিসিটাই দেখতে পাচ্ছি। কার ল্যাপটপ?
ওই অভিজিৎদার
ওকে একটু ডাকুন, সে বুঝতে পারবে। কলে
Yeah, Avijit.
অভিজিৎ, অভিজিৎ। No, I can see that.
হ্যাঁ
I can see the attachment. Actually.
মাই কম্পিউটারটা তো দেখি
My computer. That's all. Desktop downloads. Nothing is there.
এই যে আপনার কোনটা এই যে এটা কোনটা ইডাইটা IIHD এডুকেশন এডুকেশন
এইটা এটা কোনটা বুঝতে পারছি না, যেটা লাগিয়েছি সেটা কোনটা দেখায় এক্সটার্নাল ফাইল। No, this is not the one. Honey? Honey?
Getting connected. Not connected. Is another?
Take this.
এটা ঠিক আছে
Let him open. Till that
Don't
time,
run away.
I don't trust any machine. I always also have an email.
Yeah, I also bring it, but this file is too big. Still not showing there.
Right? It is there.
It's not connected. Hey, come here. It's not connected. এটা খুলেছে। আসছে। Remote. You have the remote?
Yeah, remote. Who has got remote?
What is that remote
So
called?
that fellow, he has his own. Anand
No,
has
that was
the.
there was a remote on there.
Acha,
Acha.
Here and where?
Yes.
Okay. So I request
I'll start,
Tanmay Pathak ji to give the lecture on Pathfinder. Okay, please go ahead.
A very good evening to all of you. This lecture actually is more about some pictures and quotations, so don't worry. And it is directed towards the younger people. People above 50 and 60, they already know. But from my teaching experience, I came to know in IIT for last 20 years or so, that younger people who are doing exceedingly well in physics, chemistry, maths, biology, etc., have very little idea about our traditional and pathfinder class of scientists. Even people don't know the names of Bose, P.C. Rai, and so on. So so I prepared this lecture, and I thought that the younger people should know it more. We eventually come to know, especially after retirement when we have nothing to do, we become interested in history of science and so on. So P.C. Rai, I gave the title Pathfinder. You will see I have a reason for that. And my intention is just to focus on the fact that how a village boy turned into Acharya Prafulla Chandra Roy, and then afterwards what he left for us to do. You can see that the talk can be divided into 4 parts, but I'm not going to talk about four topics. My interest is more about this making of a legend, and then the views and values and idea. And it's so difficult to talk about him in half an hour that by the time you say Acharya Prafulla Chandra Rai, half an hour is over, actually, because his contribution is so enormous and it's so multifaceted. So just very quickly look at history. If you see that from 1757 to 1857 of Sepoy mutiny that took place, Bahadur Shah Zafar was thrown into jail in Burma, and that was more or less the end of Mughal Empire. But at about the same time, something was happening in the Bengal province, and you can see, I've shown these pictures to many students without showing the names, and most of them could not tell the name of the person, actually. So Raja Rammohun Rai started a new movement in Bengal province. It's no use of talking about that in detail here. And later on, I have just picked up these 4 faces. And in my opinion, all 4 people are kind of rebels in their own ways, actually. And the first one, I hope you understand, Devendranath Tagore, and so on. Michael's picture is more popular, Vidyasagar is known, and Sri Ramakrishna. It seems the time was ripe, apparently, with appearance of these people. The time was ripe for the appearance of the next generation of people. And you can see Rabindranath Tagore, 1861, Prafulla Chandra Rai, 1861, Swami Vivekananda, 1863, Ashutosh Mukherjee, 1864, and Jagadish Chandra Bose, 1858. Something happened in Bengal at that period of time when these many people appeared to do something for the nation. And just to give it in an all-India perspective, you can see this is the picture of young Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who is yet to become Gandhiji after a while. And all these people are connected in one way or another. That's quite also interesting event that took place later. This is a very recently picked up picture. The article appeared probably a few months back in a not so much well-known journal. This is the part of the house where Prafulla Chandra was born in Bangladesh. And this part of the house was restored recently by Bangladesh government. And you can see that they also put a huge picture of Prafulla Chandra Rai in front of the house. And if you look at the chemistry part, what was going on, in ancient time, all this gold, silver, copper, iron, etc. was known. But by 1845, a large number of elements were already discovered, and you can see all these sodium, potassium, barium, name it, ruthenium, etc., was already there. And then Cesium was discovered in 1860, rubidium was discovered in 1861, thallium, 1861, I put it in red. Why? It's because this is the periodic table. I'm not teaching chemistry, don't worry about it. Just to show you the position of thallium in that group and its connection with Acharya Prafulla Chandra Roy. This is only possible for a person to write this statement in his autobiography. I was born on August 2, 1861. This year, it is interesting to note, is memorable in the annals of chemistry for the discovery of thallium by Crookes. It seems that from the birth he was kind of connected to chemistry, or to become a rather inorganic chemist later in his life. He grew up in a family, his father, we are talking about some 200 years back almost. It was a very liberal upbringing, actually. His father, they had money, they had a lot of money, no problem about it. But his father in those days used to eat chicken in Maulavi Sahib's house and so on, okay, which is, you can imagine what will happen in the society. So that's why he was branded as a mlecho by his neighbors in the neighborhood. And so he was growing up, Prafulla Chandra Roy was growing up in that kind of environment. And what I really, it caught my attention actually, that's quite interesting, that at that age, his father exposed him, he was learning Sanskrit actually, the word gogno, the interpretation of that. He learned from his father that in ancient India, beef eating was a norm. So you can see that 200 years back, a little boy is learning this story from their parents. So obviously, probably you will have a very different view of life in later part. He came to Calcutta around 1870 to get admitted into school. What I found quite interesting is that his curiosity. What was that curiosity? The curiosity was that waterworks had just been completed. Okay, so water was coming to the homes through water pipes. And the interesting part, the Orthodox Hindus still hesitated to make use of it as being impure. So this was one item that really drew his attention, and he was quite curious that how it used to work and so on. Something happened to his health a little later, and he had to return home once again. And it was a blessing in disguise in the sense that he started studying. He fully utilized this time by reading English classics and the literacy and historical writings in Bengali. He also learned Latin and Greek. I don't know what facility was there earlier for him to learn Latin and Greek in village at that time. And this was his routine. For a 12 years old boy, this was the routine that he will wake up between 3 to 4 o'clock and he'll start reading about many things, including the lives of Newton, Galileo, etc., etc. It's quite mesmerizing. Once again, he returned to Kolkata and got admitted, passed the entrance examination, got admitted into Metropolitan College, which is now Vidyasagar College. And he was influenced by this gentleman, Benjamin Franklin. He read about him and his contributions in a way, and in many ways, and he was quite attracted by his contribution to American society. And at the same time, in India, while he was going to college, he was influenced heavily by Surendranath Banerjee, who was politically involved in those days against British movement, in nationalist movements and so on. So he was a great influence on young P.C. Roy. So then he took admission to Presidency College. I took care, however, to attend lectures on chemistry in the first arts course, and both chemistry and physics in the Bachelor of Arts course in the Presidency College. Chemistry was then compulsory branch, and Alexander Pedler, I think it has been just mentioned, was doing experiments. And he mentions that I began almost unconsciously to be attracted to this branch of science. he tried to do some experiments actually. So what he did, once we improved an blowpipe and an ordinary time, actually the whole thing blew up in his house, actually tried to make some compound. So he stopped doing those kind of experiments at home and started preparing for this Gilchrist scholarship to go to Edinburgh University. There were lots of leg pulling by colleagues and all that, but he kept on trying for it, and he came out successfully in the competition. There was another gentleman from somewhere in Maharashtra who also qualified in the same examination. I couldn't find out what happened to that gentleman later on. So he was one of the two winners in the scholarship from India. So it looks very different in this attire. You can see that he was preparing himself for going abroad, and he sailed in 1882 for England, and there he met Jagadish Chandra Bose, and then Bose and I became friends for a long time. But while reading this, I found somewhere that he was so professional in his attitude that he used to go to the restaurants where he could learn how to hold knives and forks properly so that he can eat sitting with the Britishers without any fault, so that nobody can find fault with him. He was so professional. Okay, so he joined the Edinburgh University. Now this is quite a remarkable situation. At this young age, he was not detached from, we teach our kids not to get into politics and so on, but he was not detached from politics at all. He was very much into it while he was studying chemistry, and he wrote an article and published this one, India Before and After the Mutiny. And you can see the language. England, unfortunately, now refuses to recognize the hard, irresistible logic of facts and does her best to strangle and smother the nascent aspiration of a rising nationality. And that he was doing sitting in England while he was enjoying the fellowship by the British government. So then in 1886, he published this essay in a booklet. Now, did this strong statement, it's amazing coming from young P.C. Roy, a government which can squander this huge amount of pounds on palatial barracks but cannot spare a farthing for laboratories should forfeit the title of a civilized government. The Indian government is essentially a tax squeezing machinery and not a government for the people. I think we'll have a lot of problem to write such statements today, but I was wondering, I just tried to compare with the prevailing situation now. You can see that our education budget has been reduced from 2.64 to 2.5, and only 5% Indians own about 62% of the wealth. There is no shortage of money in the country for doing research, and the thing that we should worry about more is this one, the researchers per million inhabitants right now. Finland had 7,000 plus researchers, USA 4,000, and we are going to become the fifth largest economy in the world. And you see in India, we have only 137 researchers per million inhabitants. I wonder what P.C. Rai would have told us had he been alive today. Okay, so he got his BSc degree in 1885, 1887 DSc degree, Hope Prize, etc., etc. It went on, and then for a period of time, he was unoccupied. He had no job and so on, and there was some problem because the white people used to get more salary and natives will not get so much and so on. So that fight was going on for quite some time. And during that period, he was mostly under the hospitality of Dr. and Jagadish Chandra Bose. But he was not, what he was doing, look at his curiosity. I collected and identified several specimens of plants round about Calcutta. That's what he was doing. So he was not only a chemist, he had interest in many, many other areas. So, yeah, that's what I stated just now, that there was a salary-related problem. So 1889, he started teaching at Presidency College with a monthly salary of 250 rupees. That was a reasonably good amount salary. At about the same time, these people were, they were discussing about starting a company, whether they can start a chemical company. And 12th April 1901, the name of the company was styled as Bengal Chemical Pharmaceuticals, etc. And it has been mentioned already that with only 700 rupees, he started this adventure. So we all know this, Bengal Chemical, around this place. But I found one article which says the original name was Bengal Chemical Works. That was between 1892 and 1901. Interestingly, this is an article on India's expanding chemical industry, published in a Chemical Engineering Journal, 2018. And there they mentioned that the development of the chemical industry in India can be traced to the indigenous efforts of P.C. Roy. Okay, this is being mentioned. And this is one thing, it was completely unknown to me. The Indian Chemical Manufacturers Association, now called Indian Chemical Council, was founded in 1938 by P.C. Roy. This is not known so much, so in 2038 you can celebrate the 100 years of forming that particular organization once again. Okay, look at this book. He wrote a book on zoology. We don't discuss so much about P.C. Roy writing a book on zoology. It was written in 1893 and published in 1902. And it was, in those days, it was very difficult to have pictures in the books, but there are 59 pictures in that book. So Roy, he started his activities on fats and oils, and the first paper was published in Journal of Asiatic Society. That's the lab where he worked. And about the same time, something else was happening in other part of India. This is Jamsetji Tata happened to meet Swami Vivekananda, and they had this discussion. It's in 1894 when he published the paper, and 1893 they met and they started discussing about forming a research institute, which eventually turned out to be ISC Bangalore. When you go to ISC Bangalore, go there and they have a special place where they have kept, maintained all those letters which were exchanged eventually between Swami Vivekananda and Jamsetji Tata. So teaching was his first preference. He was like as much in my elements as a fish in water. And he was asked to take up the principal position of Rajshahi College. He refused to leave his research and expressed his desire to continue in the Presidency College as a junior lecturer. These days, if somebody offers me a principal's post somewhere, I think I will run and leave my research and not teaching elsewhere, isn't it? That's the case. Okay, so he retired from the Presidency College in 1916. Now, if you look at his research, this can be divided under certain categories. When we were kids in 5th or 6th standard, when we had no idea what chemistry is, we already knew that there was a gentleman in Bengal who mixed something together which was not supposed to be mixed. So this was a rhyme that we studied in our Bengali literature, where it says that two elements were mixed together by a gentleman in Bengal and something else come out of it. So it's a very nice rhyme. I don't know whether this is taught these days in this poem is taught in the schools anymore. However, Ashutosh Mukherjee wrote to him and invited him to join the University College of Science. And so he was the first university professor of chemistry. He was extremely happy. At that time, he was in England. He was extremely happy to get that offer. And he wrote, "I look upon the proposed College of Science as the realization of the dream of my life, and it will not only be my duty, but a source of gratification to me to join it and place my humble service at its disposal." So he joins in 1916 the Calcutta University as a Palit professor. Now, I will not spend time on his research because it is very well written. One by my friend long back, Somoresh, with one of his senior colleagues, wrote this in Resonance, January 2001. And Professor Animesh Chakraborty, this book is a fantastic publication by Indian Chemical Society. I think we should come out with a better version of this book. It's very well, it so eloquently discusses all the scientific work of PC Rai. Everybody should read this book actually. Okay, but of course, I have to mention this particular work, and the discovery of mercurous nitride opened a new chapter in my life. So he kept on working on this kind of nitride compound for a long time. And this instability and all that, this is quite well known. You just, if you type in the Google, you will find all the details about it. However, what attracted me towards his work, see, I did not do inorganic chemistry. Okay? I've studied organic chemistry. So these papers, if you look at these papers, these are fantastic organic synthesis papers. Okay, he did it for a different purpose because he wanted to make a complex of gold or iridium and so on and so forth. He made some thiocompounds. But look at this molecular weight, 3068. I don't know how did he determine that molecular weight, and the paper was published in Nature in 1927. I feel that it's a remarkable work if you think about the support system people had at that point of time. Sorry? Okay, all right. So this, actually, I was more attracted to this work because I work on a lot of sulfone chemistry. So this is quite interesting, this kind of cyclic molecule which was synthesized in those days. Thiocamphores he was also worked on. You can see all those papers published in Nature, 8 Nature papers he had. I think any Indian is yet to break his record, actually, today. And all this, you can read all this in detail. It's a very nice chemistry that is described. Went back to that element, thallium, fluoride, okay? Make these fluorocompounds. This was quite an interesting work considering the time period, if you think. Okay, so he was not only an inorganic chemist, the way we talk about him, he was probably the first organosulfur and organofluorochemist of India, surely. And while doing this search, I came across this journal, Scientometrics journal, which describes the organic chemistry in India in between 1907 and 1926. Very nice article. It's a huge 6-7 page article. It goes in detail about the organic chemistry that was done in India during that period of time. And this table gives the names of some, 30 or 40 people. But look at this, groups of organic chemists, research supervisor, the first one is P.C. Rai. So I think we should stop calling him inorganic chemist henceforth because others have recognized him also as organic chemist. But I want to draw your attention to one publication. This publication is not discussed anywhere. 1939 paper in Science and Culture. I could not get hold of that original publication. I would love to get that one. It seems he moved towards snake poison for research. Separation of the coagulating principle from the other active substances present in venom of viper aerosol. Okay, so I don't know how far did you work on this particular thing, but I'm sure someday I will dig up the paper and read what actually was done in that case. All right. So while doing chemistry, he didn't stop looking at the society at a large, what was going on. So he met Gokhale with the help of Nilratan Sarkar. I will not get into detail of it, but he was the first one to bring Gandhiji to Kolkata, actually, with the help of Gokhale, and initiated to bring Mahatma Gandhi for the first time in Kolkata. And his remarkable statement that we can leave everything but chase the career. But what he said is this remarkable statement: science can wait, but Swaraj cannot. So it was much more important for him than the science itself. So his father died at about the same time, but what he was doing now, he was channeling his energy into this kind of studying British pharmacopoeia. And what the intention was very clear to him. He opened a stall also in a conference organized by Indian Medical Congress in 1898. Ray was practically throwing a challenge at the European drug manufacturers who monopolized the medicine market. Okay? So he was targeting all these molecules. In those days, having sulfuric acid factory was one of the mark of how strong you are industrially. So he was trying to make these sulfuric acid plants. Actually, he purchased a place, it's not very far from here. It's called Behala Shodhpur. It's not very far from here. That place has been destroyed and high-rise building has come up. I came to know from a friend of mine. We didn't protect that place. So he came up with all these molecules which were actually in the market and trying to compete, attempted the preparation of diethyl ether, gave up after a deadly explosion. Okay, so now since it's almost impossible to describe all his work, you can just get an idea from this list. What are the other things he was doing? 1904, second visit England, 11, third visit 1919, he was knighted by British. See, Rabindranath gave up his knight. He did not. But in the same year, I read that in the same thing, he went to the town hall and made a speech against this Roundup Act, which was one of the worst possible act for stifling voices of people. Okay, so he kept the knight, but at the same time kept on protesting about the activities of British Raj. So 1920, fourth visit to England, established a relief committee for famine affected people of Khulna district. We don't do these things much these days. We do publish paper only. 23, established Indian Chemical Society. 25, session of Congress meeting. See, he was representing Congress at that time. Okay, he was not at all an apolitical scientist. Fifth visit to England. 31, established Bongio Tran Committee because there were some flood-affected areas, which he did. Look at this, 31, 34, he was the president of Bongio Sahitya Parishad. So he had so much control on the language part and the literature part that people did not hesitate to make him the president of that organization. And 34, he was eventually elected honorary fellow of London Chemical Society. This is one of his remarkable contribution, which has been mentioned already. 1902, published History of Hindu Chemistry. 1908, published History of Hindu Chemistry, Volume 2. I have just picked up one piece from this book. He was fiercely against the caste system, actually, and according to him, he believed that the very touch of a corpse, according to Monu, is enough to bring contamination to the sacred person of Brahmin. And because of that caste thing, he believed that the arts being thus relegated to the low castes and the professions made hereditary. And it was true that it was almost impossible to find any Indian person to do post-mortem in those days. Okay, and this is the gentleman, Pandit Madhusudan Gupta. He, for the first time, India's first human dissection at Calcutta Medical College was done in 1836, almost 3,000 years after Susruta. Okay, so this is his English version of Life and Experience. This is the book, actually, you can read, very nicely written. Then he came out with the Bengali version, 1937. I could not resist but to quote one sentence from this English book. Religion had lost its vitality and degenerated into the mechanical observance of certain unmeaning rites and repeating of dry formulae and blindly following usages and customs which may have had some utility a couple of thousand years ago. Is it still applicable? Think about it. Okay. Published a book on colors. See the diversity of what? Deshi Rong, he published in 1922. And what I find quite remarkable is this letter. A weaver is writing a letter to a world-class scientist requesting him to send him the information about the book because he wanted to know how this color strategy can be used for coloring the threads that he uses in his weaving. We don't get any letters from any people working in the field. Okay, we do chemistry, but don't get any such letters, I believe. So, according to some estimate, he spent 9/10 of his income on charity, made an endowment 10,000. This goes on and on. It's the amount of money he has donated and given up for the benefit of the poor and downtrodden. Gave this amount of money to Calcutta University. This is quite interesting. He did not accept any salary from Bengal Chemicals, which he donated for the welfare of the workers. This is a picture I am particularly proud of this picture because there are many faces. I'm not going to explain who are those. Only one person. He's Sir J.C. Ghosh, was the first director of IIT Kharagpur, was a student. So you can actually judge a person by the type of students he leaves behind. Okay. So this picture, if you see, and if I pick up Meghnad Shah standing here, J.C. Ghosh standing here, Satyan Bose. You'll have to be extremely lucky to be a teacher like him to produce students of this stature. This is a college in Bangladesh where he spent a lot of money to build this college in Bangladesh. And June 16, 1944, he died. Apparently, he left behind in an Almeida loads of English classics. Apparently, there's only thing left behind him. But nothing ended with his death, actually. If you read his writings on Rabindranath, if you read his writings on Swami Vivekananda, you can see lots of things he has talked about. There was a fire, this IIT Kharagpur was originally a Hijli jail, okay, where freedom fighters were kept confined there. 2 people were shot dead there. And with Rabindranath Tagore, he spearheaded the public protest against police firing in Hijli jail and demanded their release and so on. With Rabindranath Munshi Premchand, he appealed to World Peace Conference in Brussels in 1936, that means during the Second World War. And in 41, he was a signatory to the protest against the invasion of Soviet Union by Germany. Gokhale said this is Professor Ray, who having a monthly salary of 800 keeps just 40 for himself and devotes the balance to public purposes. Rabindranath, today is his birthday. They are great friends. And I will just read it out. As the pioneer of chemical education, chemical research, and chemical industries in India, and more possibly as a self-denying and dedicated worker for the uplift and emancipation of the country, and last but not the least, as a man of austere habits and sterling character and dynamic sympathy for the poor and downtrodden, ever after to the call of humanity, Prafulla Chandra Ray occupied a unique position in India in his days. He never gave up working, actually. This picture is taken in 1934. You can see in Bengal Chemical, he's still working on the bench. It's difficult to believe that the man in simple Indian dress wearing simple manner could possibly be the great scientist and professor. I just found this one in Nature while doing some search. It's about the Chemical Society, Indian Chemical Society meeting, which was headed by Professor B.K. Singh. And there also, you can see this interesting thing, a lot of money was raised for something. In addition to a donation of 10,000 rupees from Sir P.C. Ray, which is earmarked for the provision of a headquarters for the society. I don't know whether that headquarters was built or not, but he donated 10,000 rupees in those days. And this is the most important part, what the outsiders are saying about his work. Some of these papers are the very considerable value and interest and indicate enthusiastic work on the part of the newly created school, which is mainly due to the example and work of Professor Ray himself. What is more important here, it certainly appears And it is to be hoped that this will quickly spread over the remainder of the India and that the same spirit of research will embrace all the other sciences. This is well known that this plaque was given by Royal Society, but what is not so well known is this one. Actually, University of Edinburgh has a wall where they write from time to time the names of their famous alumni. And you can see it's there. A friend of mine sent it, this one. It's put up there in 1987. If I blow up, it's this. Father of Indian chemistry, Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray, founder of India's first pharmaceutical company, graduated from Edinburgh in 1887. So others, we know what others are saying about him. But I think he was a little bit apprehensive about certain things, what he did here. And he wondered whether, how much scientific attitude the society will have. So he left a question, left a very interesting remark, and I will leave this with this particular quotation. I have been teaching for half a century. In this period, I have told thousands of students that solar and lunar eclipses are not caused by the demons Rahu and Ketu devouring the sun and the moon. They listened and agreed. But during the eclipses, the moment conch shells are blown in the houses, the moment prayer processions come out in the streets, these educated people, note this, these educated people also join the procession and throw away their food. Just think after 70, 80, 100 years, how much have we changed really? So this is actually the IIT Kharagpur's new chemistry building in the name of P.C. Rai, J.C. Ghosh P.C. Rai Science Block. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Pathak. It was very, very interesting lecture. We have to give him something. He's in a hurry.
They are working all day, they are working.
Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to the valedictory last. Yeah, where was he? Yeah. Where is he? Where is he? Come past.
আর নেই তো আর আছে
Just 2 minutes. Yeah. You can remove it. What is his name? What is his name? Okay, Vishnu is name. Yeah, here is Dr. Om Prakash. So now that was Om Prakash Bishnoi, our council member who was missing. So we had come to the closure, and I will ask Professor Sudip Das. Where is he? Sudip? He's hiding. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes.
Stop it, is it, sir?
Yeah, call them.
Yeah.
Our staff. Yeah, Sandeep, our staff. Call the staff, please come to the podium. Partho Ganguly, Papita Datta, Rahul Bhattacharya, Gautam Dev Diwan, and Robin Chatterjee. Partho Ganguly and Sandeep. What is it? Sandeep Kumar Datta. Yeah, come. All of you.
Rahul.
Rahul Bhattacharya.
Sandeep Kumar Datta. Papia Datta. Robin Chatterjee. Robin কোথায়?
Robin? হ্যাঁ রবি এলো তো
Gautam Devan. Gautam Devan. Yes.
Yeah, that is the, gratitude to our staff. We have been working very hard. So this Centennial Jubilee Function Foundation Day, it is very important to recognize them, and we thought that we should recognize them. So ladies and gentlemen, there were many things which I wanted to say. I could not say because there is hardly any time. But I want to tell you something, that we have planned many events, and the next event will be in Delhi from August 2nd to 4th. Then the annual convention of chemists will be in Mumbai during December. And next year we will have 3 major functions. So those dates and venues will be announced later. And if you have read my speech, which is there on the website, during the annual AGM in December, I had said that we want to do many things. 100 colleges to be the members of the society, and having a convention abroad, which will be, of course, online, getting many fellows from industries, and I'm working towards that direction, and making at least 100 industries as the members of the society. So it's a very tough job. I need your help, and you will do that. And we'll have many students' chapters in various parts of the country. And to have the major function in Delhi, some VIP I will not disclose the name, some VIP will come. At least 3 different central ministers will come. And we will have sessions on variety of things, including policy matters and whatnot, NEP, and how chemistry should play a role in NEP. All those things will be there. Very soon you will hear from me through emails. Since the time was very short, and in the morning, because of this Honorable Governor's presence, I did not make my regular speech which I had prepared. But anyway, that will be published, and it is there in the booklet, this souvenir, and this souvenir will be in the PDF form on our website. So with this, I conclude. We had planned to have the pledge, right? So let me say this pledge. I think I have printed it here. Where is the pledge? Yeah. So, we should make a beginning, very good beginning, because so far we never had a pledge for the Indian Chemical Society. And so I'm going to ask all of you to stand up and sing behind me, okay, the pledge of the Indian Chemical Society. And you will sing in unison. Or, this is my society. Say it. This is my society, the Indian Chemical Society. I take deep pride in it, but without vainglory. To it, I owe solemn obligations that I'm eager to fulfill. I am privileged to be part of a great tradition, rich culture, and ethos built by the selfless services of great many individuals and followers of the founder Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray the Sage. I take great pride in the achievements and eminence of chemical sciences, engineering, and technology. I am fully aware that there is a confluence of chemical sciences with biological sciences in search of better solutions to the pressing problems faced by humanity. I am a beneficiary and the benefactor. Chemistry has been serving all life forms since time immemorial and will continue to serve in achieving the goals of the net zero, sustainable development, containing climate change, and lead us towards the path of peace, prosperity, luxury, and comfort. I will be in a company of knowledge seekers, givers, and servers associated with the society. It will be my endeavor to protect its reputation and legacy, and I will participate in none but the honest enterprise. I shall shun prejudice of all kinds and perform actions that are deemed righteous morally, ethically, professionally, and legally. To my fellows, I pledge, in the same full measure, I ask of them integrity and fair dealing, tolerance and respect, and devotion to the repute and the dignity of our society, with the consciousness always that our special expertness carries with the obligation to serve humanity with complete sincerity. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the pledge we should always sing wherever we are practicing, whether it is a college, university, or IIT. So I thank all of you for coming over this large number. We have just made a beginning, and this beginning has to go into a very big, effort, and throughout the year we are going to do it, and we will culminate our activities on August 2nd, 2024, on the birthday or birth anniversary of Acharya P.C. Ray. With these few words, I conclude, and I request Professor Sudeep Das to give the vote of thanks, and thereafter we'll have Vande Mataram, and when we conclude.
Thank you, Professor Jadhav, our President. Respected President, Professor Jadhav of Indian Chemical Society, past Presidents, Professor D.C. Mukherjee, and other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you today to offer a vote of thanks in this glorious inaugural Centennial celebration of the Indian Chemical Society. This journey of Indian Chemical Society begins on 9th May 1924 under the leadership of founding President Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray. Today, we are working under the leadership of Professor G.D. Jadhav. The inaugural program was blessed by His Excellency Honorable Government of West Bengal, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, eminent civil servant, management guru, innovator, writers. His Excellency Honorable Governor of West Bengal, C.V. Anand Bose, inaugurated our centennial celebration of Indian Chemical Society. We are extremely thankful to other dignitaries like Padma Bhushan, Professor M.M. Sharma, Padma Vibhushan, Dr. R.A. Maselkar, Padma Shri, Professor Govinda Mehta, through his online program, online lecture, Padma Shri S. Sivaram, and Dr. J.S. Jadhav for their presence and delivering their views and encouragement in this August gathering. My personal behalf and also the behalf of the Council of Indian Chemical Society, I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to all of them. We are also very thankful to Professor Tapas Chakraborty of Indian Association of Cultivation of Science, Kolkata, Professor Anand of IIT Bombay, and Professor Tanmoy Pathak of IIT Kharagpur for delivering their excellent lecture and grace the inaugural program of the Centennial celebration of Indian Chemical Society. On my behalf and also the behalf of the Indian Chemical Society, I express my sincere thanks to all of them. On my behalf and also the behalf of Indian Chemical Society, I express my sincere thanks to the councils, entire councils, for their support. I also, on my behalf and behalf of the Indian Chemical Society's Council, I express my sincere thanks to all the sponsors for their supports. They are Clean Science and Technology Limited, Pidilite Industries Limited, Oriental Aromatics, Others Industries Limited, Dr. A.V. Ramarao Foundation, and AVRA Laboratories. I express sincere thanks to the present council for their support under the leadership of Professor G.D. Jadhav. I also express my sincere thanks to Professor D.C. Mukherjee, past president, for his help and advice in all the times in Calcutta. I express my sincere thanks to all the office staffs for their work and helps to success this program. I express my sincere thanks to all the participants, professors, teachers, students, ladies and gentlemen, to attend the program and to make it a grand success and memorable one. I wish you to get the similar support in future also. Once again, I express my sincere thanks to you all for making this inaugural program be a great success. Thank you all.
I will sing. So we'll conclude our yeah. You have Vande Mataram?
Yeah.
You start. Okay, we'll start. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Supalam, Malayaj Sitalam, Sasya Shamalam, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shobra Josna Pulakita Yamini, Pulla Kusumita Drumadura Sobini, Suhasini, Subhadaramasini, Sukadam, Varadam, Mataram, Vande Mataram. Bharat Mata ki Jai.
এইটা রেখে গেছে